So hello and very warm welcome from my side. My name is 𝗚𝗏𝗕. I'm the Managing Director of IREB, and I'm happy having you today here for our roundtable from the IREB Community India. Today we would like to discuss the impact of artificial intelligence on requirements engineering, and I'm happy to be here and hosting this event from the IREB side today. Introducing our two ambassadors, Surendra Saxena and Dr. 𝗵𝗏𝗕𝗕, who are our ambassadors for India. And I will shortly hand over to Surendra, also introducing the Community India for today.
Thank you, Stan. And Surendra Saxena, I'm based out of Bangalore, India, and we created this community in India about 9 months back. And this is our second roundtable that is happening. We have, by the way, 12 communities across the world, and we conduct these roundtables meetings, which are available for anyone to join, everyone to join. So I would like to encourage not only join the India-based events, please join the other events. Also, you can suggest the topics because this community is all your community. Therefore, we would love to hear from you. Please suggest the events that you think are relevant for your work, because the things are changing very rapidly and there are always opportunities for us to learn from each other. And this community basically is a platform to serve that purpose. We also have opportunities for the speakers. So we would really love to have volunteers who would like to share their experience in the community. So again, reach out to me or reach out to Pramod. Our details are available on IREB website, and I will also share in our community. We also have the list of events on IREB website that also I will share later after this meeting. I would like to also thank Daniela, Simon, and Michelle for sparing their time. They have really worked on this area of bringing AI together with the requirements engineering. So thank you very much for joining this event, sparing your time, and we cannot really wait anymore to listen to your experience and learn from that. Okay, so that's what quickly about me. And Pramod, would you like to add something? You have been very active in the events, and also Pramod, to you.
Thank you, Surendra. As AI or even RE, these subjects are so vast. AI is given so many other dimensions to think through, which we cannot get hold of. Every day, new solution, new technology dimension comes up. So only way we can do some constructive, useful, productive work, which can impactful work, is interacting with the right people, right expert, right communities, and learning from them. No one person, no one organization can make a really great impact without these connections. So welcome, Simon, Michelle, Daniela, and Stan, and thank you for being here, giving your insights, how together we can do better projects, do better requirement engineering, creating impactful product. Let's go ahead. Stan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Surendra. Thank you, Pramod, for the introduction, also for the kind words. And I think, as Surendra already mentioned, I think for us it's super important with our communities that we have worldwide, currently 12 in different regions across the world. Our goal is to provide a kind of platform where people could exchange. Where they could exchange on the topic of requirements engineering and related things like AI, like design, like architecture, and so on. And that's why we are also having this kind of online events, but also on-site events. And you are happily invited to have a look on our events calendar and join also the other sessions. But this is enough kind of advertisement. Let's now go for the topic where the call is scheduled for today. On AI and requirements engineering, and maybe let's give me some time for introducing one of our new micro-credentials. And what we have here today is, sorry, just to share my screen. So what we have created, or what's the special interest group, 3 of them are here today, Daniela, Simon, and Michael, is a kind of micro-credential that we call AI4RE. And this micro-credential is intentionally thought for people who are working in the area of requirements engineering. They don't have to be experts as of now, but it's really giving them some thoughts of how requirements engineering could be supported in with the use of AI. For sure, this doesn't matter. So if you are a beginner, or if you are already having a foundation level, or also some practitioner or specialist certifications from CPRE, I think it's still worth to have a look on this new micro-credential, because here we address things that are necessary for your daily work. So that's meant for the target groups. So it doesn't matter if you are a requirements engineer, or if you call yourself a business analyst, product owner, product manager. I think these are all people, or a group of people, who have to deal with requirements, and for them this could be supportive to have a look at this product. The idea of this new product is that this is a kind of digital badge that will prove your competencies when using artificial intelligence in requirements engineering. And this will be provided by the certification bodies that you already know, for instance, CEST in India, or also other certification bodies who are operating worldwide. Having a look to the content that was created by the working group, and Michael, Simon, Daniela, feel free to interrupt me. So what has been done is we have 6 educational units. The first one is about, let's say, basics of artificial intelligence. Then we talk about large language models. Then there's a chapter about prompt engineering, means how to create a prompt, what context need to be given, how to structure the input, and that you hopefully get the desired output at the very end. Then for sure, when talking about artificial intelligence, and probably most of you have already used whatever AI that's out there, then you have to do with hallucinations, and you have maybe to do with some answers that are not completely correct. And this is about Education Unit 4 when we're talking about risks and responsibilities, because still doesn't matter what you're doing, you are taking the responsibility of the results in the end. Means if you're using the machine and you will produce your requirements, or you will check your requirements, validate your requirements, whatever you're doing, then in the very end, it's still your responsibility if you use the result in the end. This means there needs to be some human in the loop that needs to check the results. Education Unit 5 is in general about use cases in requirements engineering, like elicitation, documentation, management of requirements, always with the focus on that there is some kind of human in the loop that's needed, and some, let's say, AI terminology that's used across the entire syllabus. Before handing over to you, Michael, Simon, and Daniela, do you want to give some additional notes or hints on these education units? Nope. Good. Then not. Then let me shortly proceed. So, how to get this kind of micro-credential? So in general, it's there are no prerequisites, as mentioned in the very beginning. It's the intention is that we have something for, let's say, very young people or very new people to this area. For sure, we are using the RE terminology, means having a look in the CPRE foundation level is not bad. So it's really helpful to understand the structure and the core activities that are provided in requirements engineering, but it's not a prerequisite for this AI4RE Micro-Credential. It's a multiple choice examination. The duration is 30 minutes. Pass rate is 80%. Exam can be done online by any of our certification bodies, and the preparation for this examination, still as other preparations that we are offering, can be done in an online self-assessment that we are offering on the IREB website. So that's the insights from my end with respect to the new AI4RE Micro-Credential. And then I'm happy to welcome Michael, Simon, and Daniela, who are who have been part of the working group or special interest group on AI and RE. And they can now also give some more insights of how they use, for instance, artificial intelligence in requirements engineering or in their daily work and tasks, just to give you some idea how this could be, how your daily work could be supported, what's beyond the certification I was just talking about. So in the very beginning, we just missed to find out who will be the first one, Simon, Michael, who wants to start. So let's take the chance now.
Simon, I see you're talking, but you were mute, I guess.
Simon, I think you are muted.
Oh, somehow. Okay. Maybe I can jump in that case if okay, all right. So I mean, first of all, thank you very much for having me today. I'm very, very happy and honored to be here. In a way, this really feels like coming back home, as I mentioned to Pramod and Surendra before, because when I was working at Stocks as head of e-business, I had a few teams sitting in India for doing development in Bangalore and then also testing for my applications in Delhi. And I think back about on this time with a very, very, very happy face. It was great to collaborate, and I was essentially, always in between business and tech, and so I always had to build this bridge. And with that, also I traveled many, many times to places in India. So, and I always promised I will be back. Now, at least virtually, I'm back. Since Corona, I haven't been there. But I'm also planning to come back at some point and also, be there and meet friends. Yeah, so my goal also there in this role was always this shared understanding, to create this shared understanding between the different stakeholder groups. And that was very, very interesting. And now in AI times, I think we also, in our pre-discussion, we kind of touched upon that topic. AI, if we think about also the Agile Manifesto, it should not replace human interactions. That is always more important than tech tools and processes. And AI, I would also consider as a tool. It should not leave or like lift us away from human interaction. In fact, the contrary, it should lift us or ease us from any heavy work, manual work that can be done automatically. And rather focus more on the interaction and on the shared understanding in between human beings. So I think that's something that's also I'm very passionate about this part, and I really love that. So that's a little bit about me. Nowadays, I'm no longer working in a corporate environment. I have taken my experience and also become a trainer for requirements engineering, for IREB, and for other topics as well. And I'm always very happy to share also the experiences that I gained in the projects before, and how we managed to overcome challenges, how we managed this shared understanding. And then obviously AI played a role very soon, a couple of years ago already. And then we started and we came up with this study guide with a great collaboration with Daniela and Simon and a few others to kind of just bring together all our experiences, all our results of experiments, our understanding together in a guide about how to deal with AI and how to make the best out of it in the field of requirements engineering. And well, what I would like to show just very briefly is like one extract, because I said we're doing a lot of trainings. I would just quickly show you a little bit about that. I hope you can see my screen now. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So AI can help us in a lot of ways. I wouldn't say it should act as an interview partner, so we can send our stakeholders straight to the AI and not talk to them anymore ourselves. That's the contrary, but it can help us in a lot of different ways. And one of the use cases that are really is quite useful, and also from all the people who trained so far resonates quite well, is like visualization of processes. It's always great to talk about situations and cases, and it's always great to also describe that, but nothing as powerful as also visualizing it, because it's very easier to understand where there are gaps, or there are misunderstandings, or there's some contradictions and things. So I really like to visualize. That's also the reason why I'm using a Miro board where all my slides and all my material is on. And what we have done here is a little case that we also demonstrate in our trainings. We use a case study for that. One of my passionate or favorite case studies is about a platform to reduce food waste. And here you can see a little sample process, like a user journey, how a user enters the platform, searches for available food, and can make a reservation and then pick it up. And it's all here described in text, but it's not as understandable. So what we do here is, like with a little prompt, we generate a diagram out of it. Now, obviously, in terms of image generations, the models are not that great, at least not the models that are publicly available to the vast majority. They're nice in creating funny pictures and photorealistic pictures and stuff, but they're not that good with font and also not in precise diagramming. So what we found is that we take an intermediate step, and we let an LLM just print out or create, for example, an XML. Now, BPMN is very common those days in organizations to document their processes. And with this little prompt, we can transform what you can see here, this process, into a diagram. Now, how is this prompt structured? We always want to provide a role. What role should the LLM assume, so it also understands the context better? And then we tell it to write a BPMN out of the process description that it gets underneath. This bit here is only for the format. So this is all describes how this XML should look like and how exactly what tags to use and what's the format. And then the process you could just copy paste inside here. And what are you going to get out of it? Well, this one. It doesn't look as perfect yet. So it has automatically created this BPMN diagram that if I switch to BPMN editor, you can start editing. Now, for the machine, this looks already very understandable because all the dots are connected and it's a logical process. But for us human beings, it's not as nice yet. But what I like, the thoughts why I think this is actually, I like this approach, is there's a definite risk that we as human beings rely too much on AI and just switch off our brains and take whatever the result is. And that's something else that we put a lot of focus in our study guide and in our education. Have to make sure that the human being is in the driving seat because we are responsible for the results and we have to validate. And what this step does is, now I have my basic result and I need to validate. I can clean this up. I can make it nicer and more readable. And by doing that, I also validate and make sure this is, that's a result that is reasonable and that makes sense. Obviously, there's also other ways how you can do that, or then even improve and write other formats. Now, you might be wondering how I came up with this format description here. That's not something that I have written myself. We do something like reverse prompt engineering. We like that quite a lot, that I describe a format that I want. Maybe I give it some examples, I let it analyze, and then I extract the format out of it. And here's also an example prompt how you can do that. So basically, you can customize to the tool whichever you are using. And we've done that also in various other approaches. For example, plant UML is also very commonly used, where you can just generate a diagram. So you let basically the AI describe a process, you get plant UML out of it. And if I open plant UML generator, you can see here a little diagram. And here's the textual representation, because plant UML is the language that describes UML diagrams. So if I remove that and I copy and I just paste the description, I get also a nice activity diagram in that case. The drawback with this approach is like you cannot edit it. As you can see, it's a fixed image. Now you can further discuss with the AI or improve it yourself by writing or adjusting the code down here. That's possible too. Yes, and we have got other approaches also. If you want to have a mermaid diagram or if you want to have a sequence diagram. So we're basically teaching different ways of getting processes, visualizing processes and other artifacts into diagrams. All right, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show. I hope you could take away something from it. And now I would like to hand over to the next one. So Daniela, Simon, who wants to go next?
Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
Maybe just before, Simon, before you start, there was one question in the chat, but I'm not sure how this is related to. Could you explain what the whole diagram is? I'm not sure if this was the first, the second, the third diagram, but I think there were many diagrams. One was BPMN, another was a kind of activity diagram. There was some kind of...
Yes, exactly. The first one was a BPMN, a business process modeling notation diagram, which is used or mostly a common standard to document business processes in organization. The second one was an activity diagram, similar approach, but comes from the UML, is a bit older and not as, you don't have all the possibilities, not as wide the syntax as a BPMN diagram. So, but basically, you know, you're not limited with that. Just whatever diagram you want, you just need to be able to kind of describe what approach you want, and you can, you know, relieve yourself from creating it yourself, but generating a draft version that you can further work on.
Great, thank you, Michael. And
the first diagram is also known as swim lane diagram. Maybe that's what.
Thank you, Surendra. Yes, okay. Yes, of course. One major aspect of this activity diagram and BPM diagram is swim lanes. So which person or which system does which action. Okay, thank you very much. I will definitely take that away, Surendra. Swim lane diagrams.
Yeah. Thank you. And just for the participants joining this session, please use your chat and ask your questions, give your remarks. If anything pops up in your mind or in your head, just use the opportunity to ask the experts. That's why we are here. That's why we are building this kind of platforms. Doesn't matter if this is online or on site. Feel free to raise your hand and ask things. Simon, now is your time.
So let's see if it works now again.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
So perfect. You start off. I think like I did search in the meantime, but still the thing that incorporates. Now it works, I think. Yes. Our AI usage best is in this case little advertisement because it's our product, but it really captures the essence of what you can do with AI so well that I'm glad they show it. So the thing is, usually you'll take some time just to structure it, or you work with an AI like GPT and it just outputs you a long wall of text, but that's not structured. You cannot work with it and stuff like that. So we now have opened the public beta for our assistant, where you can just tell it what to do, and you can just say things like, I would like to create a new delivery and order software, so people want to order food. So I would like to have one epic for restaurants where they can like register. So one user story for registering. For the restaurant owners, then we need some administrators. The administrators should be able to set the restaurant owners valid, so they are allowed to post their offerings there. And also we need a registration for the delivery drivers and another story for the administrators who approve them. That would, like, for example, be the explanation for the first epic. And the thing is, like, the models became so strong in the meantime that the limiting factor here, why I had to stop dictating, is me, because I ran out of ideas and not the AI who would understand it. So it's possible to dictate quite long stuff, and that's all. That's one thing I want to really focus on. Sorry. That's not something that's like especially made or done now from us. That's just the models that became so strong. But what we support is like having it in a structured way. So we'll create a new entity as a restaurant owner. It's gonna have a role. We have like this administrator who reviews and approves the registrations, and a delivery driver. Perfect. Then we have an epic for the restaurant and driver onboarding. Yes, with the onboarding flows, perfect. We have a first epic. Then we want to create a new story, like the restaurant owner. I want to register. Perfect. Now we have a story that we can look at here. Then we have a new story for validating it. Perfect. We've got another story, and register here, register there, and I can now switch between those stories and tell it new things. For example, I can tell it that please create a new acceptance criteria for the user story too, so that for validation, only the not yet approved people are shown, and I don't see those who are already approved in the list, and create a Gherkin scenario as a for a test scenario for the acceptance criteria for approving a new restaurant owner, and also do the same, like in a fitting way, for the delivery driver story. So you can see models tend to understand what you're aiming at, and if you give them some structure to work with, they stay in the structure, and this gives you quite a lot of advantages over just having the text, because you have stuff that will can be linked. You have stuff that can be compared. So we have this new acceptance criteria here. Perfect. We've got an acceptance criteria. We have this acceptance criteria with Gherkin here that we can take a look at. And we have the same for the delivery drivers. And you see, the AI isn't allowed to do anything on its own. And that's something that's very important for me. Like as Michael said before, we don't want the AI to do anything because we don't trust it to do anything on its own. It needs to be controlled. You need to have the human in the loop. But still, we can allow it to do things when we are taking over. So now I will just now give it like some assessment and say that's gonna take 3 days. That story I switched with a keyword command takes 2 days. I'm going to switch to that one. That's going to take 5 days. And now I can already see like some kind of pricing and export it, or export it to Jira and stuff like that. And the thing that I just want to tell you with this is like the value of the tools are how well they integrate with you and how well you need their workflow. And for this example, if you create software offers, I think we are pretty good at that. Especially with structuring it and telling you like, okay, the delivery driver has this story. We want to jump to it. Okay, I want to register. That's going to take 40 hours. Stuff like that. And yeah, and one of the next steps, Michael, you'll probably be glad to hear, is that we're going to integrate diagrams.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Simon. That's super interesting. I mean, the point coming from some kind of voice that you just speak into some kind of user stories, adding acceptance criteria, and then having a kind of estimation that's easily to add, and having some kind of offer that you can directly send to your customers. It's, I think, a nice thing on the one hand side, but on the other hand side, also a huge step toward, let's say, having something fast. And I'm not sure how often you use it also with your customers in this area. So I think that's it's really amazing. I think now we start with the discussion round. Daniela, do you have some topics to add, or do you have some questions already?
I think what I can add, and I think this might be something interesting for others, because we are working in the health of Germany, so it's always a bit difficult to implement new things, and we have some AI to be used. However, I think nobody collected the use cases. So what my colleague and I in the last week found out, nobody did the RE about which AI we need. So we have some AI that can be used, but it's more like a chatbot to check for user stories, to do acceptance criteria. We work more with prompts. So we have the prompt guide, you might know, and what I often do is just to create some wireframes for the first iteration with stakeholders. We hope that we can, in the future, use more the connections to Jira and Confluence, because I think this might give us a lot of speed, because we have lots of repetitive tasks. So we often copy stories and we categorize them manually. So I think there's a lot of positives, but for me, it's important. We had a team that was 1 year busy with choosing the AI, and I think someone was more focused on the data security and about the information security than about our needs. So I learned a lot how important requirements engineering is. This is, I think, is something you should not forget. But thinking about the real use cases that are value for your business, to identify them, to prioritize them, and to find out which one you want to support with AI. But,
because we just mentioned the AI prompt guide, the special interest group has developed, so it's accessible for free on the Confluence page. And just share the QR code here on the side. Just add this to the other side, because otherwise the IREB logo is in between. So it's visible now on the right side of the screen. If you're having your mobile aside, just use the opportunity to take it. I will also put it on the URL in the chat that you can have a look to this afterwards. And still the point, if you have some questions and remarks, just ask. Vikas is asking. He joined a bit later and was just asking if the things from or explanations from the previous speakers will also be available afterwards. Yes, they will be, because we are doing this recording. So this means after the live event directly, the recording is available on the one hand side at LinkedIn, and on the other hand side at YouTube. So this means please have a look at the recording also afterwards, and share this with your colleagues if you have something. If you want to share this with your colleagues.
Stan,
great.
Stan, we are working with one prototype, one pilot project on which we do value analysis, because every feature and every function which you create in a software or hardware need to be analyzed well about its impact on ultimate cost of the product or value of the product. So value analysis, value engineering is a very good use case. Maybe we'll discuss sometime in detail. But what it does, every change which you're going to create in the product or service, it will analyze and give you options and cost worth analysis also. So you can say this part to be changed. If you to change this part, what is going to be end impact of that? Or if you don't want to change, if you change A or change B. So those type of analysis which takes months earlier, and big team, it can do a lot of heavy lifting in like days time, and you have sufficient data to analyze with human intervention then. So that's a use case. Sometimes we can discuss called value analysis, value engineering. That is a step before we take up the software to project to build. So it's interesting development. Over to you, Sten.
That's true. I think what's super interesting, I think, doesn't matter if with AI or without AI, that we talk about value that is created by, let's say, software that is created nowadays. I think even without AI, a lot of features are implemented that are not used, that are not useful for neither for the business nor for the user. And I think in the age of AI, it's even easier to create a lot of features that are never used, where there's no business case at all. And when talking about value, I think this makes a big difference. And therefore, I think, yes, it's definitely something that needs to be considered and also discussed also in the future. And not sure, Michael or Simon, when you are, let's say, creating also stuff, Michael, you have showed with this Miro idea on creating things. I think, yeah, you could create dozens of features who are nice, but they are nice, nothing more.
I think like the main goal I have, at least with AI, is to save us some percentage of human processing load, and to make like the writing and the documenting part, to give that to AI, but not like I mean, you can use it to brainstorm, of course, yeah, but like the validation and if it's really necessary and stuff, that's something very human. But I really do see, like, after like 2-3 hours discussion, like you have something that the
Irgendwie höre
developers
ich jetzt nichts mehr.
have to know.
Habe ich mich an dein Ding angeschlossen? An dein.
Daniela, you are
Ich habe keinen Ton mehr.
I think she doesn't hear anything anymore, so then you might have to mute her.
Da hinten ist ich passe tatsächlich in die Docking Station. Aber ich höre nichts mehr.
Zuschalten. Da gibt's
No, she's gone.
Okay.
So the thing is, after like these sessions, I'm tired, but I still have to let the developers know. And now I can just like the most important things. I say, remove that thing. We're not going to do that. But create a new story for it. We'll take care of it later. Push it to there. Tag it with that and stuff like that. And so I can just offload the documentation. That's really nice.
No, I would join in also with what Simon said, and we also do a lot around software development with AI. Also there, if as you said, Simon, before, if you don't give the AI much chance of diverting into different directions, if you put the proper harness, you can be quite efficient with it. But as I tend to say, now with AI, we are just way faster to hit the wall if we don't know what we should do, or we just build stuff because we build it and we have fancy ideas. I think the topic of requirements engineering and understanding what is needed and what is the pain point and what we want to solve becomes even more important these days. And it shouldn't be an invitation to paste the solution, which is nowadays called AI, onto, well, any problem we have, or even without a problem, just put AI, it'll be all better. That doesn't make any sense.
That's indeed true. There's another question coming in. Few of the pain points when I faced are mapping the missing requirements traceability in a project. Is there a way to optimize this for traceability? Do you have an answer, or shall I go first?
I think we have in the prompting guide something about traceability. So maybe this would be an idea to have a look there.
Mm-hmm.
if there is a solution, I think it depends what you want to trace, if it's just the requirements itself or trace something between different tools. But I think we have in the prompt guide, we have something that might go in that direction.
Something to add?
Of course, like if you just use a chat, it's always a bit harder. But I think like we're not the only software solution that would have a solution for that as well. I think there are a lot of those out there right now. Like when we started like 3 to 4 years ago, I think like the most requirements engineering software was already very old or didn't really go through it. But in the meantime, there are a few players out there who really are modern and incorporated all of these things.
So for traceability, how AI can be really effective is some more work behind it. If you take it like a project, give a good glossary of terms, what we give, and then what you just, Simon, you mentioned about case studies or use cases and stories and everything is given. If the documentation is available before we jump to AI and ask for traceability, AI is doing well. All those AI agents which we have trained, they're working well if they have sufficient background data. But by default, if we give any agent the requirement documents and some background, it doesn't do traceability well. That point is very valid. And I found when it become effective, the moment I gave a good glossary of terms for shared understanding. Because AI agent is like another brain thinking, and the brain is, we have to give sufficient shared understanding. So the principle of shared understanding really works well with AI agents also. And then traceability works pretty well. I won't say 100% like Architect and all those tools, but still works very well. So the step number 1, train an agent. Step number 2, give a background data, BRD and epic and use cases, use user stories, and must give glossary of terms. Traceability will be well taken care of. Over to you, Stan.
Well, I'm quite sure that the competences of the requirements engineer, as you mentioned, that they are still super needed because in the very end, many of these, let's say, traces are having some semantical meaning. So for sure, there are traces where you can say, okay, there is a logical thing, but quite often it's also some kind of semantical meaning. It goes beyond, let's say, the different layers, and then you have, let's say, the different areas from software requirements to architecture to test cases to code where you can have traceability. And this kind of, let's say, traces are also super important when doing kind of impact analysis, seeing, okay, a requirement is changed. It's going a bit to, I think, to one of the other questions I will shortly show. If you see, okay, we have changes in a certain part, what does this mean for later points or for later development stages? And in my perception, I think AI is really helpful when we are having this, let's say, huge amount of requirements. When I look into the automotive industry, for instance, they are having hundreds or thousands of requirements for one vehicle. And when, let's say, establishing traceability also from requirements to test cases, for instance, was quite popular. I think here AI can really great support on the requirements engineering tasks and propose, like Simon showed, for the, let's say, creating user stories from what has been spoken. And I think what's always important that we have the human in the loop and the requirements engineer who's going to check all these, let's say, traces that are proposed with the risk, so to say, that if 80% are correct and you have revisited all these links, that you say, hey, the AI is always true. This is always for sure, let's say, the other point of the medal in my perception, where we need to find a kind of, let's say, measure in which way we can trust and where we also need to check even if the results coming out are 80% true. There was another, yeah, sorry.
Stan, if I can just add to this point, I think if we think currently that requirements engineer will not do anything and everything will be done by the agent, I think it will be too risky. But I have seen that the use of artificial intelligence and the tools associated with it really helps a lot. And if you just see what Michelle and Simon has demonstrated, actually this does give you a lot of clues. Simon started with some of the actors, some of the stakeholders, and gave the epics, and it translates that into the user stories, and then user stories to the test cases, and you see the traceability is building. And if you really ask the right, if you give the prompt, it does tell you that these are this is the traceability. So it does aid the traceability. Right. Similarly, I think it is of great help in elicitation. It can help us plan elicitation so that we don't miss anything out. Right. It is a great, because for us as a requirements engineer, planning elicitation is a big task. So it does plan. Can it take execute ops? Absolutely not. Actually, where the requirements engineer will have to come and we will have to play that. But then can we record that interview and transcribe it? Actually makes things very, very easy. So our elicitation, documentation, detailing the documents, building that traceability, building the user stories, and as Michelle has demonstrated, creating the diagrams. These diagrams may not be perfect, right? But they are very good tools for validating the understanding with these stakeholders, and then you revise those diagrams. Sometimes you might have to do manually because as Michelle has demonstrated that he has created a swim lane diagram, but that swim lane diagram has so many crosses, so it is a little hard for you to really read and manage and share with other stakeholders, but a very good starting point for validation and then refining. So all these things, elicitation, documentation, management, validation, it really aids, it really simplifies our work, but can we completely rely on this? Not, it does not replace a requirements engineer, but it does make our job very easy.
So the important point here, so far we are just talking about language model, large language model, and language interpretation, natural language, NLP, assisting a requirement engineer. To be effective, industry is moving and should move. We have to start thinking about what other than language, large language model, NLP. So documentation is on first goal, is heavy lifting. So the other pattern of AI like anomaly detection or maybe pattern recognition, as a requirement engineer, as a requirement analyst or a business analyst, you have to start thinking about using other type of AI brains to facilitate our work. Then we can think of we are using lot more smartness of AI in our project. Of course, it will do all LLM thing, NLP thing very well, documentation related thing very well. And we can certainly put some human over in loop and make it work. But the other type of brains of AI, that will be greatly effective. And then we are talking about ability for human, every RE or human to train their own agent to get those jobs done. Because relying on large organization to train AI and give us trained one is having a limitations. So get something, train that AI in an organization, the project level or individual level, and use beyond LLM. That would be a next era where we are doing some prototype and pilots to be the industry that how can we do that? Of course, another social angle is what will happen to the job. That is secondary angle we have to look at. But I'm just giving insight how industry, and as you Stan mentioned about automotive sector, you're working on creating those models.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yeah. Maybe coming back to one point that was just mentioned from Michael and also from Surendra. I think what AI is supporting in the requirements engineering world, or let's say in the tasks for a requirements engineer, that many things could be done faster or more efficient. Like, let's say, having some kind of meetings that are transcribed, that they could be translated into, let's say, a brief summary, creating requirements out of it. Checking that the requirements that are created in text form, that they have a clear structure, that they could be understood by each and everyone. Doesn't matter if this is a team of the business, but also the team for the developers or testers. And I think here AI is super powerful, being honest, and also creating models out of this, as Michael showed. And I think this is really a support for a requirements engineer. And I do not fear any AI in this area, because I think as a requirements engineer, we are not typists. We are not the ones who want to write requirements in a clear and structured way. We want to, let's say, create good solutions, bring together, crossing bridges, bring together business and IT, translating between the two of them, having, let's say, the best product that is created. This means being creative. And this is something we still need to do. And we even have, let's say, more time without this kind of nasty things that have to be done anyhow, where AI could support us in the future. And I think this is, in my perception, a real benefit. Meanwhile, maybe just while talking, I have copied another QR code. This is from digital design, so it's a bit, let's say, related to requirements engineering. It's looking more on the entire part of the development process. But here, Kim is just creating a kind of, let's say, story episode, and also giving some kind of how to structure the input and also the output for artificial intelligence to come from a vision to a real prototype in the very end. And I think what we also see maybe for companies already running outside, companies who are more mature and who know what they are doing, they have way more benefit from using AI than companies who have, let's say, unclear ways on how to use AI, unstructured document, unstructured visions and ideas. I think for them, just asking AI to do something is, let's say, you will create a lot of garbage. But if you have clear processes, clear structures, clear ideas, then AI could really support your processes quite well. Let's have a look into the chat meanwhile. So there was another question or another hint. So this was also coming from so let's have a look. Secondly, for product developments, requirements need to be modified for some. Is there a quicker way to leverage the benefits of AI? I think when it comes to modification, I think that's a question. Many kind of change management or changes that need to be considered. Especially here, I think that AI could be really supportive in finding out what needs to be changed, especially if there are, let's say, already traced documents, test cases, code artifacts, or also, let's say, elements within the requirements where AI could really support. I'm not sure, Simon, Michael, Daniela, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's like one of the strengths we can use right now.
Yeah.
To either see what we did not change yet, or actually to change it. It depends on like what tools the AI can use. Like if it just has the chat, of course it will change everything gladly for you, but the results may be very surprising. So I would always go with just suggestions, or like a controlled way to modify it. Anita?
Yeah, I think it's the same. If you have more than the chatbot, you're much more flexible. So maybe something like Simon showed, or if you can use any tool with connections to your RE tool, so that might even be easier. So working maybe with Jira and Confluence directly from the chatbot. So this is what I tested with a friend in private. How does it work if you just use the AI and let the AI search in Confluence in Jira what things belong together, what are the artifacts that have to be changed. I think then it goes much easier than you're working just in the chatbot, because then you have no connection. You have to copy all the stuff inside, and this makes it not really so much faster, I think.
Yeah. I think this is a great benefit of MCPs, that you could connect different of these tools that are already existing. And I think this makes then also the tool that you're using even stronger, because you have the data that's there, and you could use the data and having some kind of logic and interpretations on this.
Yeah, I think the use of MCP, if your tools are able to use it, or maybe you have to develop your own interface then, but this is something we want to establish in our company. I think this would help us a lot to be much faster, because searching in Confluence is not as easy, and we do not have this robot search. Confluence has a special search, but yeah, I think this is one point to really get a lot of speed.
That's true. So we are already coming to an end in 3 minutes, unfortunately. So time is running away. So 1 hour is quite quick. When looking to the future of requirements engineering, and also on the, let's say, task competencies of a requirements engineer, what do you think? Where are the main opportunities or challenges in the next, whatever, 3 years?
I think it is making the role visible to your company and show what you really need to do a great job, because often isn't really seen. And I think it's more the strategic part, and not what you say, the easy stuff won't be our daily work. So we will mainly have our AI to do the job, but we will care for everything. And I think it will be challenging, but something more for the brain. And I like the idea that it's changing. However, it will be challenging.
Yeah, I would add to that. I think stay actual, try to stay up to date, go with where it goes, because I wouldn't allow myself to project what happens in 3 years. I don't even know what happens in 3 months in this technology and that speed at the moment. Yeah, but like, just be on the bright side, say, and then embrace this technology. And I think one challenge will also be dealing with all the AI slop, with all the results that hasn't been validated. I was at a major client in the financial industry here in Zurich recently, and they have a problem with an internal tool, because the developers have decided to use AI, but just like very punctual and not checked anything, and it leads to long-term issues. So not only in the requirement side, but also in the code side. That's going to be very interesting. I love challenges. Over to you, Simon.
Yeah, I think like when I think back 3 to 4 years when we started, like we were the absolute champions, because like we could use our own language model to create something that kind of sounded like a user story out of a text. So it's like something, if the smallest available language model today wouldn't be able to do it, like the one you can run on your watch, you would throw it out of the window. But that was state of the art, and it was amazing. And like 1 year in AI is around like 5 real world or 10 real world years at the moment. So that's like projecting what's happening in 30 years. So wow. I think like the current direction shows that the speed of some tasks will be increased manifold, and there are some tasks that will be hard to change or hard to to use AI for. And I think you have to be good at those. and use the AI for those where it's just faster and better than you are or the average human even is. And that's a point that will come soon for many tasks. You will have to be good at the others. And if you don't use like the tools for the others, that's like also for me, like as a company owner, if an employee tells me it's no, I don't want to use this tool for this tasks, although I know for this task it would be good, then I'm getting frustrated. Although I know it's just maybe 5% of his time or 10% of his time, whatever, and I still need him for the other 95%, but I would like to not waste this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. So don't like block it, don't like run away from it. Howl with the wolves, as it said. Yeah,
that's true. Great. Thanks, Simon. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Simon. As mentioned, time was running away. I really loved the discussion together with you. Maybe some last words from you, Surendra and Pramod.
Yes, I think I find it extremely useful. Thank you, everyone, actually, for joining this. This was, and each topic that you have touched upon, like Simon, you have demonstrated story-wise. Michelle, you demonstrated other tools. So there are so many tools that are available. AI is not only ChatGPT. Last week only, first time I used Claude, and we created an agent, and then there was a scenario that got created. So someone found another tool called Manus. We use Manus. It created videos out of it, actually. So we need to really bring everything together, and no one tool probably will be effectively able to do whatever we want to do. But certainly a great, exciting time for requirements engineer, actually. Those things that used to give us pains, they can really be done little easier. However, you have to still spend time in reviewing things, that things are okay to be presented or not. So when you were making that presentation, that thought was going on in our mind that each of the topic that you people have chosen, it really deserves minimum half a day. We need to have some sort of a deep dive session so that community can also become a little bit more familiar, and then they can take it forward. This currently gives an idea, definitely a good starting point, and this gives them the thought, what possibilities exist, and probably something more. So maybe we can discuss offline, and I would like to invite the community. These are the ideas. So just think, what do you suggest? What kind of events that can help you take more to your work? This is just giving an idea, but we would like these things to really be taken to the work in a state where you can brainstorm, you can discuss within your organization, and then you make use of it, then come back in the community, share your experience so that others learn.
Great, thank you. Pramod, anything to add from your side? Any final words?
Excellent presentation, thought-provoking ideas, new ways to think through. As a professional, as a community member, only thing we have to do is keep learning the way to work with AI, humanoid, artificial intelligent brain, and just go a step forward. There are so many varieties of brains are coming up from AI who can augment our work. So not from organization, not from tool perspective, build your own, what it can do for you. And that's what we are trying to build. And thank you for Mr. Daniel and Simon and Stan giving the platform to have the interaction with experts as well as ideas. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. As mentioned in the very beginning, this session is recorded, so feel free to share this session with your colleagues or revisit this afterwards. And if you want to not miss any of these sessions, doesn't matter if online or on site, register for any of our IREB communities and you will be informed. So thanks a lot from my side and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.